Hello super friends and welcome to DC TV Talk. This is the show where we talk all things Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow and Black Lightning, and in today's video we'll be discussing all of the most recent leaks that have come out regarding The Flash Season 5 ahead of Comic-Con, so let's discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, be sure to head to my podcast channel, which is called Honor Thy Podcast. It is a weekly DC TV Arrowverse podcast I do with my good friend Dan McCanns, aka Mulekick Media, so if you like this video and you want to see more, be sure to head to the link in the description down below. So we are now merely hours away from the SDCC 2018 DC TV panels. That was a lot of acronyms there. But we are mere hours away from these panels and where we'll get all the little details and the first trailers for all of our favourite DC TV shows. And just like the last video where I spoke about the Arrow leaks, we also got some regarding The Flash Season 5. So let's dive into those. And also, just like the Arrow leaks, full credit to Pagey, who I got the information from. Again, I'm not sure where these leaks originated from, but I heard them from Pagey, so full credit to that guy, he's awesome. So the first one is that Nora's mistake wasn't the satellite, her mistake was going back in time at all. So basically what this is saying is Nora actually saving her father's life was not actually her big mistake. Her big mistake is just going back in time in general. Now whether this means back in time to visiting Team Flash, or whether that means, you know, based on the set photos that she was actually going back to herself, because there is a set photo where we see two Noras, so obviously we know from Legends that's a big no-no. Perhaps this is just sort of telling us, you know, what her big mistake was, and it just wasn't to do with the season 4 finale. It wasn't to do with her helping out Barry and, you know, basically saving his life. It was actually just traveling back in time in general is what caused this big problem. The next one reads that Barry made it clear to his kids not to do this. This is obviously Barry very explicitly saying to his children, do not time travel. Like, do not, you know, mess with time because of, you know, his experience with it. Flashpoint, you know, it just can lead to awful things, so don't do it. And what's interesting about that quote there is it does say his kids, you know, as in a multiple. So there was a previous leak that says that she is going to have a twin brother who is actually going to take up the mantle of Hot Pursuit next season, which if that is true, that's extremely exciting. But this basically confirms, or, you know, in terms of this leak, confirms that there is going to be more than one child. It's not just Nora, there's also going to be another child out there somewhere, which is pretty awesome news. The next part of the leak says that Cicada is going to be the big bad, being played by Mark Pellegrino. Now this basically adds a bit more substance to the leak that we got a while ago, which does state that Mark Pellegrino, who is an actor from Supernatural, is going to be playing Cicada, and also that he is going to be the big bad of the season. He's going to be the main villain of The Flash Season 5. Now, obviously I've stated in the past that I'm not really the biggest fan of Cicada coming into The Flash and being the main villain, just given his similarities to the Thinker. But this does also add the substance to Mark Pellegrino coming to play him. I mean, if it is Cicada, then I'm fine with it. It's just I would have preferred something a bit different, just to kind of spice it up a little bit. But whatever, I can't, you know, I'm not writing this, so what can I do? But Mark Pellegrino, this sounds like a good casting choice. I mean, he's from Supernatural, he's, you know, from the CW, it's an in-house casting which you can expect. So again, that just makes a lot of sense. So Cicada is the first metahuman but hates being one, and metas in general because he sees them as abominations in the eyes of God. So basically he is kind of self-hatred, you know, he kind of sees himself as an abomination, he sees himself as a freak, which is quite an interesting way to go. You know, a lot of villains, they kind of enjoy what they do, you know, they like the fact they have the power, they like the fact that they can do all this, but the fact that Cicada, you know, he has a metahuman power, you know, he has powers, but the fact that he hates the fact he has powers and he's trying to take them away from other people, I think is really interesting. That's an interesting way to take the story, and it's actually quite an interesting villain. That would actually make me a lot more excited about Cicada, if that's true, than him just taking away other metas' powers for no reason. I think that's a lot better, and I think in terms of you know, taking other people's powers, that's a lot better way of doing it than how they did it last season with Clifford DeVoe. I just think this works a lot better, and just that idea and that concept is really intriguing to me personally. He's incredibly charismatic in public as Thomas Hirsch, a politician whose platform is reigning in the metahumans in Central City. Now again, this is actually another good way of doing this villain, by giving him a public face. He's a politician within Central City who basically is campaigning to reign in all the metahumans within Central City, and again, this is like him using his day job to actually help his own problem, and then also him being Cicada and doing it that way. This is actually a really interesting way to do it. Again, having that duality within the superhero genre, it's a thing that's obviously a superhero trope, but you rarely see it with the villains, so it's really cool to see the villain actually doing that. Now how this is going to play in with other characters, because we have Cecile, who is the district attorney, so I guess maybe that's why Cecile is such a big part in season 5, and that's why she's been upgraded to a series regular. Perhaps she's going to be the connection to him, because again, if he's going to be, you know, in a you know, a bit more of a political, you know, a political standpoint, and he's going to be a bit more politically relevant, then you're going to need someone connected to that. And like I said, Cecile is the district attorney, so we have that connection, and that's how we're going to get that. And I think that's a really cool way of doing it. Again, I actually, with these leaks, if these turn out to be true, these are actually making me a lot more excited about Cicada as a villain than I previously were. So I think that's actually really exciting to me. He points to tragedies that happened in past seasons as why Central City's most dangerous enemy is the Flash. Now this is cool, and this makes a lot of sense. You know, he's basically looking at all the previous events that have happened within the past, you know, 4 years or so, ever since the Flash came about, and he's saying, look at all these things that have happened. You know, you had the Singularity in Season 1, and you had all these other metahumans from Earth 2 in Season 2, and then, you know, you had all this stuff going on with Flashpoint, you know, Season 3, and then also, you know, the bus metas. How is he going to know about some of this stuff? I don't know. I guess they're going to have to find a way around that, but you know, I like the fact that, again, he's using evidence to actually go against the Flash, and he's actually saying, look, if the Flash didn't exist, none of these things would have happened. And he's not wrong. And I think that's, again, a really interesting way to take it. And this may feel similar to what is going on in Arrow, or what has gone on in Arrow in Season 6, and, you know, saying, you know, look at all these things that have happened, and again, it could lead to some more criminal stuff to do with the Flash, which would be quite cool, but it might feel a bit similar. But overall, again, I really like, based on these leaks, what they're doing with Cicada. I think it seems like a really interesting take on a villain for the Flash, and a lot more of a human standpoint on the Flash. So I think that's really cool, and these leaks are getting me really excited about Cicada. Dr. Destiny is actually a major antagonist as well, apparently working for Cicada, as are villains like Ragdoll and Blockbuster. Now, Dr. Destiny has been rumoured to be on the show for a while, especially going into Season 5. There's been a lot of rumours about Dr. Destiny, so he seems like he's going to be, you know, a bit of a lackey to Cicada. Now, Dr. Destiny is a very cool character. He has a lot to do. He always is a very interesting villain. He has very cool powers, which I can't wait to see used. If Dr. Destiny is in Season 5, it's going to be really cool to see that happen. And the fact he's working for Cicada, that makes a lot of sense. You know, if Cicada is the main villain, he is going to need like a supporting villain, and it seems like Dr. Destiny is going to fill that role. And then, you know, including characters like Ragdoll, Blockbuster, this is a little bit suspect because there was actually a character description released for Arrow in Season 7, which was basically detailing the character of Blockbuster. So, you know, depending on where that actually is going to end up, maybe they've traded, you know, maybe like the Flash writers wanted Blockbuster and the Arrow writers were like, oh, okay, there you go, you can have him, or whatever. I don't know, it's just that one is a bit shaky, but other than that, I think this sounds great, and having Dr. Destiny on the show, definitely a plus. And finally, the initial plan is for Reverse Flash to be the main villain if Cicada doesn't get a decent reception. Eobard's arc begins once the new Wells appears. Now, this is a bit weird, and again, I know Pagey brought this up in his video too, but, you know, by the time that we get around to episode 1, or at least the first couple of episodes, let's say Cicada's not even in episode 1, but by the time we get to the start of the season, they're already going to be filming, like, the crossover by that point. Like, you know, they're going to be filming around episode 8, 9, like, somewhere around there. So it's going to be quite difficult to change the villain around that quick. I think it's going to be quite interesting, especially if Cicada is such a big presence in the first, you know, like, 9 episodes. By the time they get to the crossover and then where they have that little Christmas break, they're going to, like, try and rework it, which I don't know, it's just, it seems a bit weird, it seems a bit quick. Now, obviously, Reverse Flash is a very awesome character, and seeing him brought onto the Flash again as a villain, I think is something we all want to see. It just seems a bit weird to me that they're going to, you know, shoehorn him in, basically, as the main villain if Cicada doesn't work. I feel like you should basically, you know, if we get to the mid-season point where they're filming, and we're not really a big fan of Cicada, instead of changing it and just abandoning it, actually look at what the problem is and try and fix it. Like, you know, I just don't understand why they need to shoehorn in Reverse Flash. If we're going to have Reverse Flash as the main villain again, I'd much rather have a whole season, a proper full season. You know, my personal choice would be have Reverse Flash be the big bad of the final season of the Flash, whatever that is. You know, let's just say it's season 10. I would want the final season to be Reverse Flash as the villain. I don't want him to be shoehorned into a season if the planned big bad, i.e. Cicada, doesn't work. I'd much rather them do Cicada for the entire season and just fix him along the way so he actually improves and becomes a lot better. And I feel like, you know, just them, you know, saying, oh, okay, we'll try Cicada, if people don't like him, it doesn't work, we'll do Reverse Flash. It seems like a very, you know, damage control type thing, and it makes him feel a bit weak, so I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of this. I mean, if Eobard Thawne comes back and he is the main villain, obviously it's going to be cool because we all love Eobard Thawne, and obviously Tom Cavanaugh will play him. Like it does say, Eobard's arc begins once the new Wells comes in, so it will be Tom Cavanaugh who plays him. But again, I just think it's going to be quite lazy if they just, want to just abandon Cicada midway through the season because people didn't like him. And also, will they have the time to write the story and rewrite the story necessary in that time frame? It just seems a bit weird to me, and I'm not exactly sure how it will go down. But what do you guys think about all these leaks? Make sure you tell me all your thoughts about them in the comment section down below. How do you think about their legitimacy, or also just individually, what do you think about each of the leaks? Like I said, some of them I think are quite cool. Like I said, I really like what they're doing with Cicada. If this is true, it's getting me really excited about Cicada, which, as you guys will know, I was not really a massive fan of Cicada coming into the season. Like, he just wasn't really my top villain choice. I really wanted Cobalt Blue, personally. But again, if this turns out to be true, I think this is going to be a really exciting and different and fresh take for a villain, which we haven't seen on The Flash before, so that's really cool. And also, just in terms of the other stuff, I like the fact that Nora is involved with time travel. We're bringing in a little bit more speedster elements than what we got last season, so I think all these leaks are making The Flash shape up for a really good Season 5. So, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. It'll help me out a lot. And share this video with anyone and everyone you know who loves DC TV and get them to join the community. And as always, guys, please subscribe for your latest content on Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, and Black Lightning. And with all that said, guys, I hope to see you again in my next video.